SuperBS.
What's up, lovable boys and babes? It's I, baby boy Brank, back from the dead and ready to break some bread. I'm joined by, who am I joined by today? Tell us.
Definitely not Gerald Glassford of the Lakers Fast Break
what?
podcast. If you're watching on screen, that's not my name. It's not my name.
I think he's Gerald. I think he's Papa Glass, as we like to call him. Papa Glass, can you reveal yourself? No, who is it?
No, I am just sitting in the. I got hosting permission from our buddy Gerald here, but this is actually the despised one, as we know him to be. Jank Josh. What do you want to call me?
Yes.
Also, so Brank is obviously back from the dead ready to raise some bread. He is he gave I've been telling everyone that you got work in China putting legs on dolphins, and it has
that was true.
kickstarted the end of humanity. So how is that going, by the way?
Well, like I kickstarted the end of humanity, and I also kickstarted that idea. So I'm up to $1 million on Kickstarter. If you want to kickstart legsondolphins.biz, just go there right now. And yeah, we're just doing the Lord's work, man. We're getting those dolphins some legs so they can get out of that ocean and onto that land, right? Like I'm loving those ideas of those porpoises bouncing through the sky, right? Instead of just sitting there in the water like lazy bums like they are right now. But yeah, man, I was over in the land of China. It was dope. Just spending some time over there with the fam and traveling around during the Chinese New Year, Xing'er Kuaila. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And I was gaming hard. I know we haven't been doing very many of the, hey, what have you been playing? But I got to get some of these games off my chest. And if you've been playing something, you're going to have to let me know right after. But real quick, I finished 3 games on my trip to China. I finished a game called Mouthwashing. Have you heard of it?
I have not. This sounds is this like power wash simulator where you're just spraying Listerine in some dude's mouth?
It is power wash simulator, but it's just a mouth. You've got it. So no, Mouthwashing is a very unique I don't want to call it like a point and click adventure game. It's like a first person narrative game where you walk around a spaceship that had a very big incident happen, and now the spaceship is like running out of oxygen, I want to say, and they're running out of supplies. And you find out that this entire spaceship's whole mission was to carry mouthwash across the galaxy, right? And these people are contractors, and it's kind of about like their story. It's probably about 2 hours. So I finished that on my Steam Deck while I was over in China. It was dope. And then I played the Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Do you remember that game from last year? The big one that everyone talked about that they loved?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I finally sat down and finished it. It is an incredible Metroidvania. I will say it starts off pretty weak to the point where it's like you're kind of confused as where to go, and you don't have a ton of mobility abilities. So you're like pretty slow and everything's kind of arduous. But once you get close, once you get closer to the end, the game really opens up and it's really fluid and fun. You're just flying around. You finally have like a way to get pretty much all the upgrades you want. So I didn't 100% the game because there's some like challenges in there where I did not have the ability or the patience to complete them, but I did the whole main story plus got like all the upgrades and all the little trinkets that you can find. And then I finished Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. I picked that up like 2 days before our trip. And it's cool, man. Did you ever play that one on Wii or 3DS?
No, because remember I didn't have a Nintendo console in that era of Nintendo. So I was curious. I wanted to pick that one up. So I was curious how it was.
Yeah, I will say while I did enjoy it and it was a lot of fun, I think it is probably the weakest Donkey Kong Country outside of maybe 3. So like Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 are all-time classics. And I will say I think Tropical Freeze is a funner game, like maybe even than the old ones, because it's just like more modern and it's really pretty and it's just like it's a masterclass game. Donkey Kong Country Returns is the first Donkey Kong not made by Rare. It's made by, I want to say, the people who made Metroid Prime. What's that studio called? They did what's the Metroid Prime developer's name? I'm like
the last one that came out, the 2D scroller.
Retro Studios. No, that the 2D one was called Metroid Dread, which was like Metroid 5.
Okay.
No, so Retro Studios, they're I believe also a British company. They're a British development house, but they took over Donkey Kong Country, and I want to say they did Returns and Tropical Freeze. It is a little crazy. They're asking $60 for essentially a Wii game with very little upgrades to it. I think it still plays at 60 and it looks better, but beyond that, you're getting the same Wii game that came out at 50 on Wii, and I want to say 30 on 3DS, or maybe it's 40. But still, you're getting that game a third time, you know. But I loved it. I finished the whole game, and then I went back and got all like the coins and stuff you need to get to open up the secret world, and I finished the secret world, and then another thing opens up, and that's where I was like, hey, I'm done. It's not another world. It's like you can go back through the game in mirror mode and then get all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm good. I did what I wanted to do.
Hard pass.
Yeah, it's just like it was already about 15, 20 hours. And for me, that's like more than enough time to play a single game, especially when some of the platforming levels were really challenging and kind of annoying in some ways. Like there's this barrel style level where it's essentially like Flappy Bird, where you have to like kind of tap on the A button to make sure that your barrel goes up and down and misses this stuff. And it's really hard to make it like go up, grab a coin, and then drop in time so the ceiling that's coming down doesn't hit it. So yeah, there's stuff like that where you're just like, man, this could have been tightened up and made so much better. So by the time I was done with it, I was done. But it did make me want to go back to Tropical Freeze. And I think 100%, I don't think I did. I think I just played the main game in Tropical Freeze.
So you can go back now?
I am thinking about it. I don't own it anymore. I sold it. I had a physical copy, so I either can pay for it digitally or buy it again physically, and it's like not on sale. So I don't know, man. I'm tempted because like it has been a lot of fun. I do have another voucher because I bought the Donkey Kong Country Returns HD with a voucher, but I could also use that voucher on Xenoblade Chronicles X, or I could wait and see what they have from the Nintendo Switch 2, you know, or Metroid Prime 4. Yeah, you know, like there's a bunch of stuff. Did you play any games while I was gone? Anything that you got to share, spread the gospel?
The good news, man. No, okay. Before we get to that, I actually got to ask you. I spoke briefly about this with Gerald, who I am not. For anyone joining the stream, I'm not Gerald Glassford.
He is Gerald. He's Papa Glass, as we know him.
Okay, so two things here. One, the Switch 2. What do you think is the likelihood of anybody who is not a scalper getting one of those?
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to get one. Maybe even like 3. I got 4 of the original Switches, and I scalped 3 of them.
No, but, I'm sorry. People who don't use bots, I should say, not
oh,
scalpers.
You mean that? So this is the hard part, right? Like when I bought the Switch, GameStop was very much a place, and you could still go in and pre-order stuff. I didn't have any problem getting a pre-order at Best Buy, Walmart, GameStop, and I can't remember where I got the 4th one, but I was able to get 4 Nintendo Switches. With Switch 2, it's probably going to be closer to the Series X and PS5, where I'm going to have to get up,
hey,
be
don't
online.
Tell me that bad news.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like that, man. But I'm not going to pay a premium. I've never paid a premium for any console. So I'll get it for MSRP. I just, I'm hoping I get it within the launch window. I'm also hoping the launch window is phenomenal, right? Like the Switch launch window came with like Breath of the Wild, which was like such a crazy ace up your sleeve launch game, right?
Yeah. So I walked into Target. This was back when we first started. This was what, 2016 when we first started.
Oh, that was my 4th one, Target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just walked into Target and happened to see, I was like, oh, I'll go see. It was the one in Westminster. So I was like, I'll just go check it out. And I walked in and there just happened to be 2 Switches sitting behind that glass cabinet, and so I was like, I gotta get me one of those, and I got it, and I got Breath of the Wild, and so I sat there. I opened it up when I got home because I'm like, I don't know if Zelda's for me. I sat there, literally played it for the next 8 hours, and then another 8 hours the next day. So,
dude, the Switch was such a magical launch. Like I'm wondering if there's ever going to be another console in my life where I feel the same way I felt about the Switch. Like the Switch came at a time where I didn't think I'd ever feel that way about a console again because I was already like 30, I think, at the time, or 29. So I didn't think I would feel that same way you feel like when you're a kid and you get the new console. Because when I got the Series X and PS5, like I was definitely excited, but it wasn't like the Switch, right?
There is a whatever moment for me too. I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I got the new thing. Great. I'm excited to play Astrobot and Demon Souls, right? And for Xbox, it was even worse. It was like, I'm not excited for any of the launch games. Yeah. I'm just going to play Like a Dragon, which I was playing on Xbox One X, and it looks better, So, I mean, that's the Xbox problem, right? And when I got the Steam Deck, I was so excited for the tech, but the actual console itself wasn't very exciting. There was no like game where I was like, oh, I have to play this. But the Switch with that 1-2 punch of Breath of the Wild on launch day one of the greatest games ever made, it was like insane, right? Like I got that, played it. I bought a pro controller. So when I go home and play it on this TV, I would be playing with like the best possible way to play it. Dude,
Yeah.
I still love my Switch. I brought it on my trip with me. Obviously, 2 of those games that I just beat, I beat on the Switch. I also put like 50 hours into Dragon Quest 11S on Steam Deck because I have a problem. So I bought that game again. Third time I've owned it, and I've never beaten it, but I'm almost at the end this time. But yeah, man, it is it's just really a powerhouse of a console, and I'm really hoping the Switch 2 is just I just hope it's exciting, right?
Yeah.
I just want to be excited again by gaming. And I feel like so far this year, even with the Xbox Developer Direct, which is really, really cool, it's not very exciting, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. See, I hate saying this because I love games, and as I'm getting, as I'm getting not older, but like,
Yeah.
I got kids and
You're 100
more
years old,
responsible.
man. So
Right.
just tell
Yeah,
people
I
the
keep
truth.
thinking
You're about
I'm
to
like
die.
I'm in my 30s. I'm not like that old.
You're
But
150 years old. He's lying
feels
when he
like
says
it some
30.
days,
So
man. But no, so like I don't get excited for video games like I used to, and I don't think it's necessarily like the hype factor for it. I think it's a matter of like what is coming out on these consoles that's worth playing. Like we had, what was it, Assassin's Creed? I think I got with the Series X when that
yeah,
originally came
Valhalla.
out, Valhalla, and I just like I sat there and played it, and I was like, yeah, this is really great, but it wasn't something I was like thinking about during the day. Like I got to get back to this
Yeah.
this console and play more Assassin's Creed when I get home.
I mean, to be fair, the Xbox One also had an incredibly weak launch when you look back
Oh,
at it. I mean, it
yeah.
was way better than the PS4 launch, which was, I think, like Killzone Shadowfalls. I think that was the only PS4 launch game. But it was like Dead Rising 3, Rise, Son of Rome,
Forza.
and a Forza, right? And I don't even think it was a Horizon. I want to say it was like a
Just
Forza
standard
Motorsport.
Forza 6 or
Yeah.
7, I think.
So it's no, I think it was like 4 or 5. 7 just came out last year,
No,
right?
okay, yeah, 4 was on the 360, so I'm pretty sure. I think it was 5. Yeah.
5, yes, yeah, 5 sounds right. But yeah, man, so it's been a while since Xbox has had like a real cool launch game. PS5, I mean, Demon Souls is neat, right? But it wasn't like something where I was like, oh man, I can't wait to play Demon Souls. And then beyond that was like, what, Sackboy Adventure? But really what got me excited about the PS5 was Astro's Playroom, right? Which now we got the incredible Astrobot last year. And like we got to see what that looks like as a full game, which is all I wanted when I played that. And I believe we talked about that on this show. We had started up the podcast right around the time that the PS5 and Series X came back. We were like, oh, let's do this again.
Reboot. Yeah, that's right.
We did the reboot. I want to say around Cyberpunk. So we were doing it, I want to say during the Cyberpunk time, which is right around the Series X. That was a game I played a lot, my Series X, right? Like I played a lot of last gen titles that just ran good, on the Series X.
Yeah. So remember I told you, in order for me to I didn't get to pay regular amount of money for either of those consoles. I think I paid $850 for the Series X, and much to my wife's dismay, I paid almost, I want to say almost $900 for the PS5.
Man, I'm kicking myself, man. I got a second PS5. I forgot why. I think I knew somebody was looking for one, so I bought it to give it to them, and I sold it at face value. And I saw the guy in the parking lot resell it. I was so pissed that I sold this guy the PS5 for $550 or whatever. Yeah, probably for $300 profit. I just did it because I was like, hey man, like if you got kids that want to play this, like I don't need it, right? Like I was working at that time. I didn't want to like take advantage of people. I mean, even when I scalped my Switches, I think I only sold them for like $80 profit. So it's just like it's hard for me to be like, I guess with the internet age, it's a little bit easier to be like, oh, I'll take $1,000 profit and I'm just going to sell it to you on the internet so I don't have to see your face. But especially when you have to do stuff in like Craigslist or like offer.
Can't trust anybody, man. Yeah.
Well, it's just hard to like, it's also hard to go there, even because normally one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to be crazy people who are going to steal it from you and be awful, or they're going to be really nice people who are just like nerds, right? And you feel bad like ripping people off, I think the most profit I've ever had from OfferUp was like, I think I sold my extra analog pocket for like $100 of profit. So yeah, I definitely screwed myself over with the PS5. I probably could have easily made $400 or $500 because that was like February, I want to say, when I sold my second PS5 because I kept my original one.
So when I bought my PS5 the first time, it was a kid who went to Baylor and he was in the computer tech program or whatever, and he designed the bots, that
Oh,
grabbed all the
nice.
PlayStations. And he looks at me when I buy it, and he goes, "Thank you. I owe a payment on my tuition, and this is going to help me get
Yeah.
that payment in." So I was mad, but I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I can't
It's
feel too bad about that."
Yeah, it's hard because like I get it, right? Like I scalped some concert tickets when I was younger and stuff,
Yeah.
and like it helped me pay for the concerts I wanted to go to, right? Like I wasn't like a super rich kid. Like I grew up with like out needing things, but I didn't have a lot of excess money, you know? So it
Hmm.
was nice to be able to sell an extra set of tickets to Arcade Fire to pretty much pay for my Arcade Fire tickets so we could go.
Yeah.
So it definitely became like a weird thing where like I feel like a jerk doing it, but I normally don't do it for like crazy prices. So I don't feel as bad. That being said, I think most people look at scalpers, look at us all the same, right? Like they're like, "Oh, you got this thing that you didn't need and now you're selling for extra." And it's like, dude, you would do the same thing if you could.
Oh,
Everybody would if
absolutely.
it's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I can get $500 for sitting on my couch." Most people would say, "Oh, I'll do it." I'll buy this thing and then sell it again. But there's a
Yeah.
couple things that stop a lot of people. It's one, having the excess income to be able to buy multiple
Hmm.
items, and then two, it's the fear, and then three, it's also it's work, right? Like a lot of people don't want to go through the work of meeting people up and there's like lots of different dynamics. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely have a heart for them. That being said, I don't plan on paying more than MSRP for Switch 2. And I'm guessing the Switch 2 is going to come in at either $400 to $500. So it's going to be expensive enough that I would be surprised. I think it's going to sell out, but I would be surprised if it's like the PS5 and Series X after 6 months. I just think,
Okay.
I think what we're going to see is like people are already kind of, I don't want to make this podcast so negative, but a lot of people are hurting and can't afford just to buy every single thing they want right now. So I don't think you're going to see just tons of people upgrade their Switch to Switch 2 when the Switch 2 is essentially the first time Nintendo's done this in maybe ever, where it seems like it's just a graphical upgrade, right? Like it's just like it's essentially like a pro model, like a big pro model upgrade from what we've heard, right? I guess we haven't seen it yet
It
and seen what
looks
it
nice
offers.
though.
It looks great, right? I think it's got an extra inch for the screen.
Yeah.
Supposedly the Joy-Con are now going to be mice, right? But it's like how much gameplay are you going to get difference out of, right? It's going to play the whole Switch backwards library. Like I truly think it's going to be going from like the DS to the 3DS, where it's like
Yeah.
it was
Right.
exciting but not that exciting, you know?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I hope I can get one. But I'm definitely gonna make the attempt for sure.
Have you been gaming though? I can't remember if I know we started talking about the Switch
Oh,
too.
yes. Yes, I have, sir. Okay, let me start with an oldie here. And I talked about this on
Nice.
my game of the year stuff a while back, but I
Ooh.
got back into Pal World because I
Oh, nice.
figured, I know I know how to actually like play it better now, and like I want to get to the point where I can actually like finish the game, so I know like what I need to plant, what I need to farm, what I need to make, like in what order and where to do it. So I kind of got like the lowdown on all that, and now I'm just kind of raising my stats so I can just go. I'm As soon as I get to level, I want to say level like 30, I'm gonna actually go around start fighting the tower bosses, which
Oh,
is
okay. I haven't
really,
fought any of them I haven't fought any bosses in that game ever. So I never
so
got to the mounting option too. Did you already get to that point?
I made mounts for the ground ones, not for the
Okay.
flying ones. But
Okay.
yeah, the towers, I did one tower and I beat a bunch of the not Gigantamax, so that's Pokemon, but like the prime ones, you have to go
Okay.
into secret dungeons to fight the giant whatever they are, and they help you unlock
Oh, wow. I somehow lost my lovable baby boy Josh, the despised one. I don't know what's going on with that boy. I'm hoping he comes back. Um I will let you all know soon because I might be editing this part out. Um, Let me see what happened. Uh, okay.
That was weird.
That is fine. Hey, let's
Uh,
clap in real quick so I can just edit out a smooth transition for this. Okay, so
okay.
3, 2, 1. Nice. Okay, so you were talking to us about Power World, and you were going after the bosses.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go play the bosses and then hopefully finish the game on the off chance the game does get shut down. But if that lawsuit gets dropped or they win the lawsuit, Sony has got a gold mine on their hands having the rights, the merchandising rights for that stuff.
Wait, Sony got the merchandising rights for Power World?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, that's crazy to me too, because like Xbox had it on there first and on Game Pass. And when did it come on PS5? Recently?
I'll say
December?
December, yeah, earlier. No, it was before December, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that. I don't know the date exactly.
PlayStation 5 was, you're right. It was September.
September. Yeah.
But it's like, it's weird to think like it was on Xbox first and then it came to PlayStation 5 and then they got the merchandising rights for the game. But it's, I'm curious too. I want to pick your brain. Do you think that lawsuit's going to do anything to this game? Like, do you think they're actually going to stop it? Because it's like,
no, because I mean, this is like we've talked about before. This is like trying to, copyright the first person shooter. You just can't. It's just there's so many things that seem ridiculous to me, or not just to me, and I'm sure it'll seem won't hold up in court. I think Nintendo's just trying to flex their muscles like they always do, and I don't see them winning this one. I may be changing a few character designs, but I don't see them being ultimately victorious in this.
Yeah, I'm curious of like what will happen, right? When it comes to that lawsuit. I don't think it's going to happen. I think even if Nintendo's like victorious, I mean, what are they going to get? Like $2 million, right? Like this game made so much money. I would be amazed if they're able to shut this game down just because yes, it's similar, but it's not like it's Pikachu, right? Like they named their things different. There's like enough games and satire that are out there that's like, are they going to go for Nexamon next? Are they going to go for
Monster
whatever cassette
Rancher,
beasts?
Yeah.
Like what are they going to go after if this one wins? But yeah, man. So you want to talk a little bit about the
wait. I got one more that I've been playing.
You've been gaming hardcore. Okay.
Oh yeah. I played Eternal Strands.
Okay. Oh,
so that one's
I played that too. I turned that on the other day. A lot of people were talking about it last week. Played probably just past the tutorial, and then I almost entered the first zone, and then I was like, maybe I'll shut this off. Where are you at in the game?
I just entered the first zone, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, it wants to be Prince of Persia. It seems like it's just like the animation style and the play style. It is not. The combat feels like it's not as responsive as I would like it to be.
Yeah, my feeling of Eternal Strands is that it is a jankier Immortals Phoenix Rising, right? And actually turned me back to playing Immortals Phoenix Rising again.
Nice.
I have a lot of issues with Immortals Phoenix Rising. I don't think it's the best game. It is a lackluster Breath of the Wild style clone, but it does have fun parts because it's essentially trying to ape Breath of the Wild, right? It's trying to mimic Breath of the Wild, not Tears of the Kingdom. They don't have any of the cool physicsy stuff. But Immortals is cool. Eternal Strand, I think it's got some neat ideas, but it just doesn't have the same budget, right? So you kind of feel that like it's not open world. It's a zone-based thing. There's very much a modern audience feel towards it with your party, right? Like with the people that are there, it definitely feels like it was made for the modern audience. And, all the stuff that applies towards. And I struggle with games that aren't even like for the modern audience. I struggle with a lot of the story-based games anyways, unless they're like Red Dead Redemption 2 levels of quality. So it's hard for me to care about whatever lore they're shoving down my throat, right? What I don't get is why no game developers seem to understand that a lot of people don't care about their worlds. I know that sounds mean, right? But like Immortals of Avium, like most people don't care about the world of that game, right? And they spend a lot of time like lore dumping. Most people who play games want to play the game specifically, right? And full RPGs, you'll get more like story invested people, but most people I think are there to play games. And I feel like Eternal Strands is like trying to balance that too with like a fun physics engine, but also like a lot of story. Like that cutscene where it's like the cool artwork was cool, but like, man, I was ready to skip it. I think I did skip it. The one where they're running from the fog,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the animation is, it's fun, I guess, but the game, I don't. There's a okay. So let me. I got a couple complaints. I want to go back to your lore comment though in a second.
Okay, nice.
It doesn't respond well. Like when you're trying to dodge and attack right afterwards, there's like a 3-second delay. It felt like, and in that time, I kept getting hit.
Nice.
And then the I forget what they call it, the shred or tears or whatever, the gas, the purple gas. You have to keep freezing a path through it, but you don't actually. It's just you just create piles of ice, and anytime you get near it, it starts like ding your health over and over again. So there's no like the magic system is less than desirable, but
Okay.
it I'm gonna give it a couple more hours and see how I feel about it. But your lore comment's funny because you have two different types of games, right? You have the ones that dump all the lore at you right in the beginning of the game, and so it doesn't leave much for exploration, like finding out things as you explore.
Yeah.
And that's what this game is. That's
It wants
what
you to be invested in the world, but the problem is, like,
right.
most of us play so many games that it's hard for us to want to get invested in the world in like 5 minutes, right? Like,
Yeah.
we want to be invested in the game, and then the world will come with it, right?
Yeah.
Like Hyper Light Drifter, one of my favorite top-down 2D Zelda-like games, from 2000 and I want to say 16.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any real story. I don't think there's any spoken words in the whole game, but you get really invested in the world over time while you're playing it because they do just such a rich job, similar to Hollow Knight, right? Where it's like you kind of like want to learn more about the world. Eternal Strands, like they were trying to tell me about their world. I don't care.
It was a really, really long opening like cutscene.
Yeah, it's funny too because like I hear all these people saying just nothing but good things, and I do think the art is really cool, and I think the box art is really neat and stuff, and it looks like the game that Dragon Age Veilguard should have maybe been, right? It looks like a lot like that, but I just am struggling so hard with this, like, hey, care about our lore. Like, I don't care. I mean, that was probably my biggest turnoff for Immortals: Phoenix Rising was like I was like over all the Zeus and Prometheus back and forth that they had in the game. I was like, shut up. Like, I think they even have like an option to toggle them to like speak less because they were that annoying and people hated them that much. Like that should tell you something, right? If people want to shut up your characters and you have to put a toggle in, like maybe don't have them talk so much. People don't find it endearing and they find it annoying. So
yeah, you're right. It's okay. So on the opposite side of that spectrum, though, you have games like here's a couple examples. The big franchises do this. You have Elder Scrolls, right?
Yeah.
Which is they give you zero introduction as to what's going on in the world. You figure it out as you talk to people and pick up books and things like that. But the world is still like really cool because it's so big. Same thing with like Halo. You go into the original Halo. What made that game so great was the fact that you were learning stuff about the world as you were playing the game.
Yeah.
And they weren't dumping all this lore in your face right when you open the gates. Same thing with Fable. Fable, it was pretty good at doing that. So it just depends on how you approach it. And if you turn on that fire hose and just dump a bunch of lore into people's faces as you start the game, it's I don't think it works.
I totally agree with you. And the bummer is this is not the only game that's deciding to go this route of like lore heavy, annoying starts. Like I think Eternal Strands could be an incredible game, but I will say right off first blush or first glance, whatever you want to call it, I am not interested enough to continue playing it. And I actually literally turned it on for a second time. And I was like, I'm just going to play Immortals Phoenix Rising because I've already dumped more time into that game.
Yeah.
So I'll just try to wrap it up or whatever. So you played quite a bit. You played Eternal Strands. You played some. What was a Pal World?
Pal World. Yeah.
I played some Dragon Quest 11, Mouthwashing, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. But really, because we don't have a ton of time today, I want to talk about this secretive Sony state of play. The rumor that's supposed to happen in this week. By the time you listen to this, maybe even it might have happened. What do you have for like, what do you think if it does happen? What do you think they're going to maybe announce, talk about, discuss? Like, what do you think this is, right? State of plays have not historically been that interesting or exciting, but Sony has like no first party guarantees outside of maybe Death Stranding 2 and potentially Ghosts of Yotei for the whole year. So like, what do you think this state of play will show off, if anything?
Okay, so here's the gamer rant rumor websites, right? This is the stuff I've seen
from Nate the Hate, I assume, is what they're gathering all their stuff from.
I'm not sure. Probably is
Okay.
that who they get their fact
He's
their
like a
facts from?
podcaster, and that's where they got the Switch 2 release date from that everybody was
Mm.
talking about. So he's the one who said the Sony State of Play was coming.
Okay, so I've seen articles talk about Ghost of Yotai. Is that how you
Yeah.
say it? I've seen one that was so bold as to predict there's going to be Days Gone 2
I've
talked
heard
about.
I've heard of a remaster. I didn't hear about Days Gone 2, but I heard they're doing a Days
Oh,
Gone
maybe that was
remaster.
it. Maybe that was it. But and they talked about a new God of War entry,
Okay.
possibly taking place in Egypt.
That would be crazy. That'd be awesome, but I just think that'd be way too soon with Ragnarok just coming out, what,
Yeah.
3 years ago now. I think the end of 2022.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to remember too, with like God of War Ragnarok, they announced it 2 years before the game actually came out. So, it's
Yeah.
possible we'll get some sort of cinematic or something. But,
Yeah.
um,
That
yeah,
would be
in
very
the,
disappointing though, I think, for most PlayStation fans who want like actual concrete details of when they're going to start playing games again.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then the other one was something to do with The Last of Us. I don't remember exactly what that
Oh, that
was. I
would be
think
weird.
maybe like yeah,
I mean, it makes
but
sense because they have The Last of Us season 2. I want to say is launching very, very, very soon. So that will probably
yeah,
be announced, like talked about there. But it's like, what do? Last of Us Part 2 comes to PC in April. I want to say, and then we have a remaster of Part 2 and a remake of Part 1 on PS5. Like, what do you even do at this point?
I mean,
You
they could
know, for
always
Last of Us.
they could pull an Uncharted and do some sort of side story like the one about Chloe and that other girl from the
I
Uncharted
mean,
franchise. What was that one called? That was Lost
Lost
Legacy.
Legacy, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious if they'll do that because, like, with everybody working on Intergalactic and Naughty Dog being so, like, I don't think they like handing off their games to other
right.
development teams. I'm curious if they'll do that. I think another development team did do Lost Legacy. I'm not exactly sure. I know that another development team, I think it's Bend, did the Golden Abyss, the Uncharted PS Vita game, right? That came out years
Hmm.
ago. So it's like I don't think they love doing that anymore because Golden Abyss was very low reviewed, right? It's like a 70 or something rating. So it's like definitely not up there with the rest of the Uncharted's. But yeah, man, I'd be very curious if Sony does anything Last of Us outside of like some skins or something. No matter what they do, like I'm bought in enough to that series that I'll play whatever they throw at me because I liked 1 and 2 enough. It's not like the most crazy tale ever told. It's not unique or anything, but it's just really well told and really well acted. So I'm a big fan of both 1 and 2. I don't think I'll ever play either of them again because they're way too long, but I did enjoy them both on their first playthroughs, on my first playthrough of each one. So
Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah. I
man.
mean, I did too. I wouldn't mind going back to that world at some point, but I'm not in too much of a hurry to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
So all of
what else you
those,
got for us, man?
yeah, I mean, just to add, and I seem to have lost my friend again. I don't know if he that I was talking to. I was about to talk to him about all that stuff. Now here he is. I'm
I'm
glad. I was
back. I'm
worried. I was missing
sorry.
you.
I think my
I
wife's probably streaming Seinfeld again from the
Oh well,
bedroom.
it's you
So
got to stream Seinfeld,
we live out
okay?
here in the country, man, and I got to
Oh,
get on that Starlink and
you live in
get better internet
society,
here.
okay? That's the main thing. You live in a
Yeah.
society, and you got to make sure that you tell everybody that we live
Um.
in a society. For me,
What do you
man,
predict though? Yeah. What are your
I,
thoughts?
I mean, Pie in the Sky announcement, Ape Escape 4 or another Ape Escape.
Oh,
I
it's
would
been a
love
while.
that.
It's been a
That would be a
while.
dream 3 for me as a new Ape
Yeah.
Escape, especially after Astrobot. Like, I would just love another fun game. Another Pie in the Sky thing, and this will never ever happen, is a new Jack and Daxter that's not like 2, 3, or combat racing or whatever, Jack X. Like an old school Jack and Daxter game again.
Yeah. Yep.
That would be great. I'd be cool with another Ratchet and Clank because it's been a while. Like, I always enjoy those games. I do think Insomniac's in a weird place. I've heard the Wolverine game is not ready for this year, and they normally have a game every year. So it is weird to be like, they didn't have a game last year. They might not have a game this year. So it's going to be like a 3-year gap, I guess. I guess it's, yeah, 3-year gap, 2023 to 2026 from Spider-Man 2 to whatever else they release, right? So I don't know. I'm curious if we're going to see fair games, if they're just going to cancel it outright. I'm wondering the same about Bungie's Marathon. My real prediction is we will probably see Ghost of Yotei. I don't even know if they're going to give us an actual date, though. And Death Stranding 2, I do think will come out this year. They showed it off, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
So I
So
think
there's a lot done on that.
yeah, my guess is we'll get that one in the fall. But I mean, I still struggle with the original Death Stranding. I never beat it. I only got like through the first 4 or 5 hours. So it's like hard for me to be really excited for a game that I can barely convince myself to play the first one, you know? Like as weird as it
Yeah.
looks and as silly as it looks, like it's like I don't know if I'll get deep into that game. Do you have any like predictions that you'd like to see come true beyond just the rumors?
I would like to see Ape Escape also. I don't know where the right place to talk about a new Spyro the Dragon game would be, but if it was at this
I think
state
it'd
of
be
play, like that would be pretty
Microsoft
cool. Because I
at
heard
this
that
point.
they don't actually own Toys for Bob. Like their work they work on their own outside of Microsoft, but they team
So
up with Microsoft.
Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard owns the Crash and Spyro IP. But Toys for Bob's
Oh,
did get themselves
gotcha.
off, did buy themselves out, right? So they are a separate developer who is right
Yeah.
now doing a contract for Microsoft. That being said, Microsoft games, as we have learned, now are coming everywhere. So Microsoft
Hmm.
is essentially becoming Sega. It is a weird, sad, crazy thing because a lot of us I have a lot of Xbox games. I probably have 500 or 600 games I purchased on my Xbox consoles that have come with me. To think like I may be giving those up at this next generation because I might not just want to buy 2 consoles when I only need one to play
Yeah.
every game. It is a little disappointing. But that being said, that if they do make a new Spyro, it could be shown off at PlayStation, right? It will come to Xbox for sure, but
Hmm.
they don't have to show it off only at Xbox anymore because Microsoft's not in it to win it in that way anymore. They're just in it to make games and make money.
My dream announcement for from PlayStation would be a remake of Legend of Legaia
Nah,
because they
yeah,
own
I
the
feel like you'd
IP.
love that.
They own the IP still, and they've not done anything with it since Dual Saga came out on PS2.
Like you, I think I would like Legend of Dragoon, just a remaster or anything, any easy way to play that game because it always looks so cool when we were kids. And I never could get myself to play more than the demo on the PlayStation demo disc. I don't know if you played that same Legend of Dragoon demo, but like I think it was the same one with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on it because I played those 2 games a ton. Um, but I mean, it's hard because like I would love to play that game, but I just don't see myself sitting down at my PS5 or I guess my Portal, which I haven't even used yet, and playing through an old school JRPG, right? Like if anything, I could see myself more modding my Steam Deck and getting an emulated version of the game and then playing it through that way, so I could just have like some quality of life enhancements.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Legend of Legaia, I would love to see Sony dip back into their old IP. I mean, I didn't get a chance to discuss it with you, but the Xbox Developer Direct was like phenomenal. And I think the main thing I was excited about was, hey, they were like conjuring up the old Xbox, right? Ninja Gaiden Black and Black 2. Like Ninja Gaiden Black was original Xbox, right? Like that Halo, handful of games made up the original Xbox. I think the only disappointing thing about the Xbox
Stupidly
Developer,
difficult though. That
yeah, it
game was.
was.
I was telling Gerald, I'm like, I love that game so much, but I also hate it because it's the one game that I really wanted to finish, but was just physically incapable of doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm there with you in that way. Like, Ninja Gaiden's not really for me, but like, I do love it. Like, I did play it quite a bit when we were younger, but it was way too hard.
Yeah.
Right? It was before the Dark Souls games, and it was just incredibly difficult. I think the only disappointing thing for me for the entire Xbox Developer Direct is just the knowledge of like Xbox finally has a killer launch lineup, and it's not going to be exclusive. Right? Like, it took them forever. The last time we've had a really semi-exclusive, because a couple of the games came to PlayStation anyways, was 2021 with Halo Infinite, Psychonauts 2, and Forza Horizon 4. Yeah, man, or Forza Horizon 5. Wow, it's crazy it's been that long.
Yeah.
It is it's disappointing to think like Xbox now has Avowed coming like next week, plus South of Midnight, plus Doom the Dark Ages, plus like a marketing rights with Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and all that stuff's just going to be on PlayStation for the most part, except for South of Midnight, which hasn't been announced yet, or Avowed, which hasn't been announced yet, but they'll be there, at
Yeah.
some point. So it's like, okay, well, that's all the wind out of the sails, right, of those games.
So what's next?
Yeah. I know. It's like, okay, well, I don't need an Xbox for pretty much any of this stuff. I'm still excited for those games. I still think Microsoft's killing it, but I get frustrated not because I'm like a fanboy, but because I know that like if they don't have a lot of skin in the game, they might stop making these consoles and then all my digital purchases will go to the wayside. I will have to like keep a Series X plugged in under my TV to play these games that I bought from them, or I'll have to rebuy them. thankfully I've been rebuying a lot of games on Steam when they've been on sale. So I may not need an Xbox next generation anyways. Real quick, because I know we don't have a ton of time left. You wanted to discuss a little bit about Xbox's future and PlayStation's future because of the state of play. We don't have a ton of stuff to add yet, just because really we don't know, right? Like Xbox showed us the developer direct, so we have the next 5-6 months. We potentially know that Fable's coming at the end of the year. Sony, as we discussed, really is Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yote are pretty much the only things that we're not even guaranteed, but that are probably coming out this year. Do you see anything else for the future of those games? Because Nintendo Switch 2, it's like besides Mario Kart 9, I don't have a clue, right? I'm hoping new Mario 3D.
I don't
Right?
even know what to predict. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of rumor going around right now about a new Super Smash Bros. I don't know if you've seen any of that stuff
Yeah. I
floating
saw
around the
that rumor.
internet, but it's really hard to say, especially since they literally just stopped development 6 months ago on
Yep.
the Smash add-on content. So it's hard to say for sure, but yeah, I mean, I go back to Xbox. I mean, they have not even made an announcement about a new Gears, Halo, Forza.
Well, they know they have Gears Emergence, right? We just forget
Oh,
about
that's
it because
right.
they
That's
put it at
right.
the very end of the
Yeah,
direct,
and
and they didn't give
it's a
us a date.
prequel.
And like it's yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's a really cool trailer, but it's easy to forget, right? Because they didn't. It's a game where it's like who knows when it's going to come out,
Yeah.
if it's going to come out, right?
Yeah, they just showed the cinematic as
Yep.
they do. But I mean, Microsoft also has a lot of franchises that haven't been touched in a while. You know, you got your Killer Instinct
Yep.
and what was the other one I had here? I had they have stuff like the Blue Dragon, Banjo and
Yep.
Kazooie. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that just hasn't been. Guitar Hero is another one. Like, what
Yep. Well,
is
now with
going on with
Activision,
that?
I mean, I
Yeah.
would love them to do Tony Hawk 3 and 4, right? Like I have a real love for Tony Hawk's 1 through 4 and Thug
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2. Like I would love to see all of those games become playable. I don't
Yeah.
think Microsoft's going to do that. It's disappointing to me that it's like, okay, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I love Tony Hawk 1 plus 2. I think I own 2 or 3 copies of that game. So it's
Yeah.
like I
Yeah,
would
we have it
love
on
to buy that
Xbox.
game again. Yeah, I have it
Yeah.
on Xbox, and then I got the free version that came with PS Plus, and then I picked it up again for Steam Deck. So it's just such a phenomenal fun game, man. And
Yeah.
it's like very frustrating to think like I never played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I would actually like to play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. But I've never played it, and I may never get that opportunity unless I want to go back and drudge up some like Xbox original Xbox copy, and then I think maybe it's backwards compatible. I don't even know if it's backwards compatible. It probably isn't, So
Yeah.
we're in like a weird spot. I'm pretty excited for the next episode. You guys hear us because we should know whether the Sony State of Play happened or not. I do think Nintendo's probably gonna have nothing to say till their April direct, so that's kind of disappointing. And Microsoft stuff is going to be trickling in till June, right? So it's like they're done with announcements. So I feel like we're in a weird spot where the only exciting things coming up are like Avowed. I'm excited for Yakuza, Like a Dragon Pirate, Monster Hunter Worlds, or Wilds.
Wild. Yeah.
Wild, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Wild. I think it is not Wilds, right? And I can't remember. It's one of them. It's Wilds or Wild. And then we've got Assassin's Creed Shadows next month, and you and I discussed this off air, but I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be incredibly disappointing. I don't know if you read the comments that Skill Up had in his video. What I called out as like being the thing that I'm worried about is like the idea of them breaking up the power fantasy from being like a character that you can do stealth, action, parkour, everything with one character to now it's like, oh, if you want to do action, you have to play as Yasuke. If you want to do stealth or parkour, you have to play as Naui.
Yeah,
right?
that's dumb to me because I mean
Yeah.
that's too. I almost feel like they're using Yasuke as a I don't know, like a narrative tool,
Yes.
and also like a tool to create controversy and get people
Yep.
to check the game out. So I'm torn on that. I really hope that that's not the direction that they're actually going, but
it sure seems like it. And
and we talked about this before though, like much like with BioWare working on Mass Effect right now, with Ubisoft, like a lot hinges on this Assassin's Creed game because if it fails, Ubisoft could very well be done for all we know.
Yeah, they're in a really weird spot. And sadly for them, most of the previews have not been kind, right? Like there have been some that have been decent, but a lot of people commented on the idea of like, it's not fun to not be able to go to the, I forgot what they're called, the synchronization points or whatever. The the synchronization points be as Yasuke because you can't do it. You have to do them as Naoe because he can't climb, right? So it's like, or he can't climb up like directly. She has a
He's just a
grapple hook.
berserker character then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all he is.
And from what I saw in the skill up video, he's so powerful that the game is trivialized because he can kill almost any character with 2 hits. Now, the problem is Naoe is not supposed to be played as like a melee character. So if the fighting breaks out, you're not supposed to be her. You know, she's supposed to be stealth only. I hate that. I don't want to have to like choose a play style. If they want me to choose a play style, put a skill tree in. Let me like choose to skill up that area. Don't make me have to play as 2 characters for no reason other than like, you want to, I don't know, check boxes. I mean, the Yasuke character is like really interesting historically. Like, I'm not going to like deny that's like, oh, it's a really unique angle. But man, it's not very interesting if I can't play the whole game as him, right? Like if I have to keep switching. So, and I don't mind playing the whole game as Naoe or as Yasuke. I'm just frustrated that they're making me make those decisions, right? Where it's like, I can't play the whole game as Yasuke. I have to play a good chunk of it as Naoe. And so why even make it 2 characters if one can't do everything?
Well, I mean, unless you can just press a button and they alternate in the middle of the game, like that's a whole that would be one thing. But yeah, I mean, having to do different sections of the game with different characters seems a little
so
crazy.
The way it works, because the people who got the preview already showed it, is you go to the menu and then you switch and then the screen kind of like fades out and then it comes back in, right? And then you play as that. You're in the same area as the other character. So it's not that bad, but depending on the loading times, that's going to get old really quick. If the loading time is like 5 seconds or less, who cares? But I don't know if you played Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Immortals Phoenix Rising or any of their games. Even with modern consoles, the loading times are incredibly long. To load up Valhalla, it's almost 3 minutes just to go, like, to get the game running, right? Like, that's not what I... Because Ubisoft's so dead set on using their launcher and Ubisoft Connect and all that stuff, you can't use Quick Resume because it breaks all their saves, right? Because they have all this like connecting to the server and all that other stuff, right? So it's frustrating, man. I know I sound like a complaining jerk about Ubisoft.
No, I understand. Those games are frustrating for me too because they're hard for me to play out here because my internet flickers in and out. So that was the issue I had with Valhalla. Would be, I'd be playing this game for 4 or 5 hours, and then all of a sudden the internet would go out and the save function would disappear, and everything I play for that 4 or 5 hours is gone.
Yeah, it's a bad system. I know they're like it's so bad that I bought Assassin's Creed Mirage for Steam to play on my Steam Deck on this trip. I refunded it because I couldn't get past their launcher window because they're dead set on using that launcher. And they reached out, like the Ubisoft HR person or whoever's managing that, like, hey, can you please check this out and see if it works? I'm like, I didn't respond because like I already refunded the game. Like I don't care, you know, like you made it hard enough that it's not fun to have to like, I looked up how to do it online and I was going to have to like go to the OS side of the Steam Deck and then install it from the main home screen and then go and do all this stuff. Then when you're done, you can go back to gameplay mode and do it. It's like, dude, just you're selling me a game. Just let me play it, you know? So it's crazy when like Grand Theft Auto and all those other games that are more important make it easier to play. And Ubisoft's like, no, we're going to do this thing so we can get what, $5 extra? I don't even know what they get right out of it. But nonetheless, man, we'll see. Ubisoft's in a weird boat. I'm hoping Avowed's incredible. We're going to know real soon. By the time we record again, we will probably at least know the critical response. I'm not going to pay the $30 extra to play Avowed this weekend. I don't know if you are. For me, I'm not that excited that I want to like spend the extra money. I did for Starfield. I got about 8 hours in. I was thankful I did it, but I don't know if I'd be able to this weekend. So I just was like, I don't think I'm going to spend an extra $30 to potentially just have a game sitting there on my hard drive.
Yeah. No, so, I'm on the same boat, man.
Well, my bro, that was awesome. We were quick. We ran through all the news you wanted to hear. We talked about those games that you know and love. We're excited for that Sony State of Play. Next week when Papa Glass joins us back, it's going to be insane. Party House USA, City nonstop. You know, Miley Cyrus blasting on the air. She was at the Super Bowl yesterday. That's what you didn't see, right? As I was watching her the halftime show, she was crazy good, man. She sang that song, Not Like Us. I don't know if you've seen Miley Cyrus. She looks different nowadays, but it's really, really cool. And I love seeing her there. I gave Taylor Swift a kiss on the cheek. That's my girlfriend. I don't know if you know, I'm Travis Kelsey. So I was booed a lot yesterday because people hate me and my girlfriend, Taylor Swift. And yeah, I don't know. Did you, real quick, because we didn't even talk about the big game. Did you watch that game?
I don't have the ability to watch it,
Well,
so
it's like
I mean,
it was free on Tubi. You didn't want to
oh,
turn
was
on
it?
Tubi?
Yeah, no, I don't.
Oh, you love Tubi. You're a
Dude,
Tubi master,
this is
man.
gonna make me sound bad, but I'm not interested in football, man. Like if it was Super
Oh,
Bowl, whatever. I'm just not interested.
it is
Hockey. That's where I'm at, man. But
It is funny
football.
because your shirt says Eagle staff, and the Eagles played yesterday, and I thought it was referencing the.
Oh no, this is the mascot at the school I work at.
Yeah, so it's funny, man. I don't care that much either. I was actually working all day yesterday, but I do think it was funny that a lot of people are panning the Kendrick Lamar halftime show and saying it was the worst halftime show ever. I will say it was kind of boring. I'm not a huge Kendrick fan. I did like his Not Like Us at the very end, but like one song for 30 minutes is pretty unexciting, right? And like all of his guests, I don't know SZA. I've heard of her, but I don't know her very well. So it wasn't like exciting when SZA shows up and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, who's that?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man. I don't know. I'm not a huge footballsman as well, but I'm excited for the football that we'll get to play mentally, aka video games. That is the football of the future. So that's what our brains are gonna do, bro. But I'm excited to get some retro corners with you guys to check in on Papa Glass's Concord numbers because I know he's now a millionaire. That's why he's not here today. He sold that for a mill, a sweet
Yes.
mill. That game has gone nothing but up through the roof, dude. Buy it with GameStop stock now. But yeah, I'm excited. I will talk to you boys later, okay? And ladies.
Peace.
Super.
BS.